Excuse me, could I ask you a couple questions regarding the political structure of Southwest Asia from the ancient time period to the early modern time period?
Southwest Asia. Is that like Hawaii? I don't really know, dude. I'm terrible at history. I barely went to school.
Okay, well, I could tell you some facts.
Please do, man. I'm dumb. Just tell me everything.
Alright, let's start off in Mesopotamia. Here's where Hammurabi came up with the first set of codified laws. This was like a huge advancement for political structures. Then after that we have Darius. Darius set up satraps using spies, and this was like spies and governors that controlled his huge realm.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Then after that, the Abbasid Empire, they relied on qadis to enforce Muslim religion and law, and this kept the empire kind of together and moving smoothly because everyone was on the same page. And after that, we have the Safavids. The Safavids relied on the Sultan. The Sultan was like a Muslim enforcer. Everything he did was Muslim, and he was in charge of everything.
Do you know anything?
It's near China. Yeah, I know a lot about South Asia. So first off, South Asia, near China. It's in Asia. You know where that is? Anyways, it all started in the ancient era, where the Aryans took over the Harappans with their superior technology and enforced the caste system over them. And then next we had the Maurya dynasty with Ashoka Maurya, and he had edicts on pillars, which told people what to do and govern their society. And then after that, India split into two, the north and the south region, with the north being Islamic and the south being Hindu. The north had the Sultanate of Delhi, which enforced Sharia law, and the south had the kingdoms of Chola and Vijayanagar, and they were powerful societies, and they had lots of wealth and income. And then after that, we had the Mughal Empire take in during the early modern era.
Hi, I was wondering if you guys know anything about the political structure of Western Europe from the ancient times to the early modern times?
I know a little about from the ancient times to the classical times. Ancient times, the Indo-Europeans started moving into the Western Europe area, and the chiefs were mostly in charge. And in classical times, the Roman Empire was very powerful. It was the first massive, huge empire, and then the Greek had city-states.
And then post-classical, Western Europe went into like a dark age, and kingdoms started to appear, and they had conflicts with the Pope for power. And after that, every society wanted to trade more because capitalism became a dominant economic force. So places like Britain and the Dutch, they spread all over the globe trying to make more trade happen to increase their power.
All right, thank you for your time.
Ask him. That's like India, right? Like near India.
Wait, didn't.
Hey, what about you? You sound smart. You look smart.
I don't know a lot about the ancient era. You know anything about the ancient era, Curtis?
I know that they didn't have like any political structure in that time.
Alright, that makes sense, because I know in the classical era, the Han Dynasty from China had tributary states of Vietnam, which is in Southeast Asia, and they helped influence China a little bit, and were predominantly like Buddhist and spread Buddhism. And then after the post-classical era, trade cities started to emerge throughout Southeast Asia and little islands to trade with China. And then in the post-modern era, Southeast Asia took a huge rise in power because they became huge ports for China with Europeans coming in, and the political structure there was mainly like giant cities that had tons of money coming in, like Venice in Europe.
Wow, that was really good. All right, thank you so much.
He told me nothing, but I hear there's an expert in the halls. His name is Nick Van Orden. Is this true?
Yes, it is true.
What can you tell me about the political structure of the Americas during the ancient period?
So basically, the Mayans controlled the political scene in the Americas under a divine king.
And did anything change to the classical era or no?
Not so much. The Mayans were still in power.
And what about the post-classical era? Who came next?
So during that era, the Aztecs came to power, and they had a system of tributary states.
Sounds interesting. And then in the early modern era, did anything change?
Yeah, that's when Spanish rule came to control the political scene, where viceroys would serve as governors and audiencias would tell the kings what was happening in Mexico at the time.
Thank you for your time.
Hi, I was wondering if you guys know any information about the political structure of sub-Saharan Africa from the ancient era to the early modern era?
Yeah, I know a little bit about the early ancient times with the Bantu migrations. They didn't have a set political structure because they were still migrating all the way up to 1000 CE.
And after that, large kingdoms like the Congo and Ghana kingdom emerge, and they start to rule over districts.
And then the Europeans come in, and all the societies split into small little kingdoms, and they fight with each other over slavery.
Hey, can I borrow you real quick to ask you a question about the political structure of the Oceania region?
Bro, I took honors chem. I have no clue, but you can ask my friend over there.
Thank you.
I know in the ancient time period they were still migrating, but the Lapita society used semi-divine chiefs to look over everything.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know anything?
Yeah, I know a few.
Alright.
So, I know in the classical and post-classical era, they were mostly migrating, and they had some island kingdoms in Hawaii and Tahiti. And then in modern times, the British went into Australia and set up some colonies from there.
Alright,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Hey, Ms. Shellstrom, could Katie and I interview you about the political structures of East Asia from the ancient to early modern time period?
Oh, sure. I don't really know very much about East Asia, though.
All right, well, let's start with the ancient time period. The Xia, Shang, and Zhao dynasties relied on the mandate of heaven and an absolute monarchy. This was continued to the classical time period with the Han Empire, who used the absolute monarchy to rule a huge empire.
During the post-classical era, Confucianism was a huge part of the government as well, with the exams and the large bureaucrat scholars. Towards the modern era, Confucian education exams were also continued, and also a huge monarchy. Eunuchs were also the first-hand servants to the emperors, and they kicked out all Mongol policies.
Thank you.